So I've accidentally made a video that's over an hour long. Nobody's going to watch me talk for an hour. So I've split it into sections, and this is part one. And you'll be pleased to know you can watch it in less time than it takes to order and get a pizza delivered. Hi folks, and welcome to my new video. As always, can I start by saying a huge thank you to everybody who's taken part, be it a comment, be it a like, anything like that. I can never really say how huge it is that so many people are getting involved with this. It's massive for me and it's really helping. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And on that, if you have enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and hit that bell for me. I know I keep banging on about it, but it shows YouTube that people are paying attention, that these videos are worthwhile, and it might get it to a bigger audience. And that's my sole aim for these videos. I want people to see them. I want people to see the struggle I'm going through in an attempt to make it easier for them. If somebody sees something in any of these videos that they can identify with and it helps stop them getting to where I am, then this whole thing's been worthwhile. So please like, subscribe and share. I have a small favour to ask of you, and I've been looking at the statistics and the analysis of the videos, and what I'm finding is a lot of people are watching the videos, but a lot of people are switching off or moving to another video before my video ends. Now I'm okay with that. They're long, they're hard to watch, they're quite uncomfortable at points, but could you do me the favour, and if you are going to move to another video, can you please leave me a comment and tell me why you've moved or why you're not watching to the end? I won't take it personally, and it's just so that I can make better videos for you. I don't want to make videos that nobody's watching. That just defeats the purpose. And if you telling me what's wrong in my videos helps, then everybody wins. When I first thought about making this video, the original concept was I was going to show how anybody can end up where I am by showing that I've had a relatively good life. Nothing terrible has really happened to me, and yet I've still ended up where I am. Before I make a video, what I tend to do is just set up a video camera and rant and let stuff come out, and eventually I'll find a topic or something that I can focus on, and that's what makes the video. And in this one, all I was going to do was talk about my life, all the different stages, and how even with this really good life, I've still ended up suffering from depression and anxiety. But what happened was, there was triggers. It was weird. I started talking about school, and I started talking about certain jobs I've had, and all of a sudden, these key moments in my life just came flooding back to me. And maybe if somebody had noticed at the time, I wouldn't be sitting making these videos just now. Now, I don't hold any of the companies or the schools I went to responsible for my predicament, but maybe if something was in place back then, we wouldn't be here today. With that in mind, I'm going to steer clear of naming the companies I worked for, mainly because I don't want to be sued, but when you look back on it, some of them happened over a decade ago, so there's not really any point in naming and shaming. So as I've said, instead of just doing I was born, I grew up, and now I'm depressed, I'm going to focus on a couple of key events that happened in my life that really shows the kind of person I am. And without sounding too melodramatic, I was always going to end up here. So here goes. So the first one I want to talk about is way back when I was at school, secondary school to be precise. So jump to 6th year and we're doing higher English. As part of the course for higher English, we had to read a novel. The book that we studied was Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. For anybody who hasn't read Catcher in the Rye, it's basically a story about a young guy, Holden Caulfield, who has immense trouble transitioning from childhood to adulthood. He gets expelled from school, and instead of just going home, he goes on this 3-day odyssey to try and discover himself, to try and figure out the answers, and to figure out where the ducks go in Central Park in the winter. I fell in love with him. I loved everything he was doing. I identified with him. I knew exactly why he was doing everything he was doing. So we're in higher English, and the teacher asks the question, so I take it everybody's finished reading Catcher in the Rye? Yes, miss, definitely. When I hadn't. And the reason I hadn't is because I kept rereading chapters over and over again, because I just adored what Holden was doing. I was desperate for him to find the answer because it was going to help me too. So I take it everybody knows where Holden is? Yes, miss. Yes, miss. Didn't have a clue. If you do plan on reading Catcher in the Rye, there's a spoiler about to come up. So I take it class everybody knows that Holden's sitting in a mental institute talking to his doctor. It went really quiet in my head. Something inside me died that very moment, because the sudden realisation that somebody I identified with, that I'd fallen in love with, that I aspired to be, was actually in a mental institute. He was reminiscing about the very things that I liked about him, but the way he was talking about it was showing how he ended up where he is. I cried. It's the first time I've ever cried at a book in my entire life. I've cried at many more since then, but I wanted to be Holden. I wanted him to find the answers so that I could steal his answers. And it turns out he didn't have any. That was hard. Never spoke about it, and it was never brought up. The teacher never asked that question. Does anybody identify with Holden? How is it affecting you? Finding out where Holden is. It was just matter of fact. We then spent more time talking about the writing style of J.D. Salinger and how the impact of the ending was meant to affect the reader. But at no point did the teacher ask how it had affected the reader. I'm 45 now and still think about Holden Caulfield. So that should tell you something. So there's a room with like 30 odd people in it. And I would like to believe I wasn't the only one that identified with him. But even if I was the only person, I was never asked, are you okay? Again, I said it before, I don't blame the education authority, I don't blame my teacher, because it just wasn't done at that time. 15 and 16-year-olds didn't suffer from depression, didn't look at the world that way, and reading this book was meant to help. And it did, right up until that last one-page chapter. I still find it hard reading that last chapter. I can read that whole book in 2 days. I'm not a fast reader. And I love it. It makes me laugh. It makes me cry. It just, every emotion in the world comes out when I read this book. And then dread as I get closer and closer to the end. And yet again, I'm going to put Holden back in the mental institute. And I hated doing that. Because it was me. One part of the book in particular has come back to me when doing this, and it's when Holden's in a hotel and he's lonely. So through a series of events, he ends up getting a prostitute. He brings her to his room, and then all he wants to do is talk to her. He's very naive in the ways of the world, and doesn't know what you're meant to do with a prostitute. So he just wants to talk to her. He just wants to have a nice night talking to her. He even asks her about the ducks in Central Park and stuff like that. And her reaction is, Holden's a weirdo. There's something wrong with him. And it eventually ends with her getting her pimp. And Holden ends up getting beat up. It's that bit that messed with my head, or is messing with my head just now. Holden wasn't broke. In my eyes, Holden wasn't broke. He just didn't want to grow up. He wanted to stay nice. He wanted to stay naive. He wanted to stay happy. And this prostitute couldn't get that through her head, so she gets a guy to beat him up. Because more people were broke, Holden had to conform. And I hated that. And I still hate it. Because that's the world I live in. I genuinely don't think I'm broke. I know I have issues, and I know I've got some problems just now. A lot of them of my own doing, but I genuinely don't think I'm broke. Now, I don't think I'm perfect. I'm not. There are a lot of girls out there who would say I was the worst boyfriend in the world. Got a lot of mates over the years who no longer talk to me. But that's life. Not everybody's going to like you. But generally, I am a good man. I like to believe I'm a good man, and I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail later on when I talk about something my dad used to say. But for now, we'll just leave it as, I believe I'm a good man. Now I have a daughter. I have this beautiful little creature that's growing up, And I see so much of myself and her mum in her. Just, she's a ray of sunshine. She's yet to discover the bad in the world. And that makes me happy. Terrifies the life out of me. Because she's so like me in her nature that I worry that she's going to face this later on in life. Hopefully I'll be better by that point and be able to help her through it. But just now, I'm worried. Because the world isn't particularly nice sometimes. And she just doesn't grasp that yet. So that was school. Over the next few videos I'm going to talk about the places that I've worked that have had quite an impact on me. I'll be honest and say that it wasn't until I started making these videos that I realised these places had had an impact on me. So watching them and looking at where you work might be a good idea. As always, a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I know I keep saying that you don't know how much it means to me, but it's true. I've had comments from people in my past, I've had comments from people I've never met before, and every one of them makes me want to make more videos. It makes me want to get better, and it makes me want to help other people. With that in mind, and I'm really sorry, I'm going to keep saying it, if you like, subscribe and ring that bell for me. And share this video. Let people see it. If you know somebody that might get something out of this, just tell them, my mate Terry's got a video up, do you want to see it? It's what they're there for. Folks, have an amazing day, and I will be uploading a few videos over the weekend, and hopefully you'll enjoy them too. Take care guys, chat soon.